Okay, guys, one vocab word. That's all we have to deal with today. So again, green on the left, notes on the right, like most of you guys already have. Awesome job, guys. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We've been dealing with a lot of fractions, right? That have we've been dealing with a lot of fractions that that have common denominators, and like you just saw on our previous lesson, right? When we're using like a number line, okay, you're shifting it on a number line that has common denominators. That's what allows us to add and subtract. Okay, well, unfortunately, when you're adding and subtracting, right, some of your problems, they don't have common denominators. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so with the second lesson, we're going to go ahead and take a look at how exactly you do that. And basically, you're going to see me put together a couple of skills we've already talked about this year and put them all together on one simple problem. All right, so here we go. The only word that we have is this right here, guys. It's unlike fractions. Everyone?
Unlike fractions.
So your book says these are fractions with different denominators. Fractions with different denominators, meaning the bottom number is different. Okay, so for example, 3/4 and 1/6. So you can go ahead and write 3/4 and 1/6 if you want. You know, circle the denominators where they can see that they're different. Okay, that's what it means to be unlike fractions. Okay, most of you guys have your books out, but if you don't, make sure that they're out, and let's go ahead and let's go to page 302 to look at some of these kind of problems. Page 302. Okay, so for 302, for number one, we have 8 1/2 plus 3 4/5. Okay. Now, I can teach you guys this right off the top of my head. I can think of 3 different ways to teach you this. Okay. Now, because this chapter, a lot of this chapter is actually review from elementary school. A lot of the fraction chapters are review. This chapter is a little shorter than the usual chapter. And because of that, I'm going to teach you just one way to do this kind of problem. And this way I like teaching because it pretty much works on all, this method works on all of the different types of problems. Okay, so if we stick to the one method, it works on everything. Some of the other methods might be a little easier sometimes, but other times they just don't work. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. 8 1/2 plus 3 1/5. Now, on this particular problem, here's what we're going to do. Step 1, we are going to convert this to an improper fraction. So if it's been a little while since you've seen this, remember what you do is you take the denominator, you multiply it with the whole number, so 2 times 8 is 16, and plus 1, we add the numerator, so 16 plus 1 is 17. What that gives us is that gives us our new numerator. The denominator stays the same. Remember when we numbered our number lines, right? Something like 6/5 was also 1 1/5, right? The denominator, no matter what, is going to be the same. Okay, we're just making it look different. I'm going to bring down my addition sign, and here we go. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 4 is 19, so we have 19/5. Okay, now, step 2 is I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to organize my work where it makes it much easier for us, and that is by just putting one on top of the other. So 17/2 plus 19/5. Because what we're going to do next is part of step 3, and that is we're going to find common denominators. What we're kind of doing, even though we're not using a number line, it's kind of converting it to where you could use a number line if you wanted to. You've got to have those denominators the same where you can add and subtract them to get a constant or a true answer. Okay? So, now remember, the nice part is we just did this the other day when we were comparing and ordering fractions. Okay, to find common denominators, remember we talked about the 3 ways. First, see if the small one goes into the larger one, and you can use the larger. Well, that doesn't work here, right? Another way was to list out all the multiples. You can find the least common multiple or least common denominator. Or like I said, the third one is if they're small digits like this, okay? I mean, you could, a lot of us like multiplying. I wouldn't do this if the digits on the bottom were larger. But 2 times 5, we can use 10 as a common denominator, and that's okay. And then remember, all we're doing is we're just changing the way the fraction looks. We're finding an equivalent fraction, like 1/2 and 2/4, right, was the same on a number line, or 2/4 and 4/8. It was just that, remember, we folded that number line one more time to give us 8s, but it ended up being the same line, 2/4 and 4/8. So in this case, here's how you do this mathematically. If you're going from 5 to 10, you're multiplying by 2, so you do the same thing to the numerator in that same fraction. 19 times 2 is 38. Again, if you didn't know that, you can go over to the side and multiply, okay, and find out. Same thing up here, different fraction, we do it again. 2 times 5 is 10, so I'm going 17 times 5. And again, you can go over to the side and do it like scratch paper. I'm going to give that to you for now. It's 85. Okay, remember, we're adding these two. Now, someone asked a great question yesterday. They said, Mr. Wilkins, do we need to circle the integers before we add? And I said, that's great, because right, we've been practicing that. Now listen, you actually get to take a break from that, and here's why. Because this assignment I'm having you do today, this is completely review from elementary school. There are no negative numbers. Okay, the reason why we circle them, right, is dealing with negatives. There's no negative numbers. Now we will get to negative numbers on Monday. Okay, but for right now, no negative numbers. You don't have to be circling anything. Okay, they're all positives. Okay, so here we go. Now, when we used our number line, we're going to do step 4, and I'm just putting it by the addition sign because we're going to add them together right now. Remember, when we use a number line, that denominator at that point stays the same all the way through. So what we have is we have a 10 even on our answer because we're dealing with tenths. Okay, it's like having a paper that's folded into 10 sections. Okay. And now we're adding, right? So 85 plus 38. Now, you can go over to the side and do it. If you're comfortable enough ignoring this 10 right here, you can go 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. Okay, now, step 5. Put a little star by step 5 because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can reduce or simplify the fraction. You need to if you possibly can, if it's possible. In this case, guys, reducing, right? It's kind of division on both top and bottom. Reducing is the opposite of what we did up here. We're finding an equivalent fraction that is dealing with smaller digits or smaller numbers. So here we go. The best way to do this is look at the smaller number, 10, and find out all of the factors of 10. So for example, 2 goes into 10. Well, 2 doesn't go into that because it's not an even number. 5 goes into 10. 5 doesn't go into that because that would have to end in a 0 or a 5. And of course 10 goes into 10, but that would have to end in a 0. So bottom line is, this can't reduce. This is our answer. Now it cracks me up because I work with you guys up to this point and probably all year long, and so many students fight their way trying to do less work. We get to this, and for some reason people want to do more work. Listen, I'm okay with an improper fraction, okay? If you want to change it to a mixed number, you can. It's extra work. You do not have to. Once you have simplified the improper fraction, I'm okay with you leaving it like that. Okay, but if you want to change it to a mixed number, you can. So if you change, and just as a little review, if you want to change it to a mixed number, here's how you do it. Remember, bottom and the top. Okay, this is just a little side note, but bottom and the top. By the way, be very careful, because if you have the correct improper fraction, but put the wrong mixed number on as an answer, your answer is going to be wrong. Okay, so be very careful with this extra step if you want to do this. 10 doesn't go into 1, but it does go into 12 one time. 1 times 10 is 10. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down the 3. 10 goes into 23 2 times. 2 times 10 is 20. subtract to get 3. The remainder, that is the remainder, is our new numerator, and of course that denominator, being tens, always stays the same. So that would be an equivalent answer, the mixed number version. Okay. You do not have to do that part though if you don't want. Okay, guys, questions? Okay, so remember, convert to improper fractions, stack them, find common denominators, and then calculate. Of course, at the end, reduce. Always try to reduce. By the way, I do want to say this. You might want to put a little star by this, okay, even if you call this step star. Okay, this year, not talking about fractions, but this year, you guys, if there's a word problem, what are you expected to have on your answer? Your words are what we call our units, the units that go with the number, right? At the very least. You can write a sentence if you want, but at the very least, units. Here's one other thing. With word problems, when you're dealing with fractions, that's the only time I'm going to require you to write a mixed number. Okay, think about it. Almost every time in life, someone doesn't go running and they go, oh, man, I ran 5 halves of a mile today, right? No, they would say I ran 2.5 miles, right? They're talking mixed numbers. If you're talking about ingredients on cooking, you don't go, oh, I needed to pour 3 halves cups of sugar. No, it'd be 1 1/2 cups of sugar, right? So when it comes to word problems, there will be a couple probably tonight and so on some of these others. Make sure that you're converting those to mixed numbers. Otherwise, if it's just computation like this, I'm okay with you leaving it as an improper fraction. Save yourself a little bit of time. Okay? All right. I can see all of you guys are so excited to try the problem. Any questions before I let you guys try one? All right, here we go. Try out problem number 4 on your homework. Page 303, problem number 4. Go. Okay, how many of you need more time? Okay, all right. I'll tell you what, I'll check in with you in 1 more minute. Okay, 1 more minute.
For number 4, do we circle the subtraction sign?
Remember I said you don't have to do that, right? Because these are all going to be, even though that is subtraction, you're not working with any negative answers, negative values or anything. So it's just a regular subtraction problem. I mean, if you did circle it and built the t-chart, you'd come out with the same answer. It'd be accurate, but you don't have to do that today. Guys, if you finish, some people are finished. If I was you, get going on your homework, right? Get your homework done. That's what this is for. Use classwork to get homework done. Saves you guys time later. Be a really good use of your time. All right, anyone still in need of more time? Okay, about 15 more seconds. Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to just have you guys share answers with your partner. Okay. However, if the answer is wrong, double check and make sure that they found equivalent fractions when they found their common denominator. Okay. 30 seconds. Turn to your neighbor and share. Go.
I could be wrong. I got 7.5. I think it'll be 6.5 if you do that. If you convert it, because 6 times 2 is 12, so 6.5.
Yeah, did you get 6.5?
Nope, I got 7.5.
Let me check mine.
I'm gonna check mine too. I don't know how I might have got it wrong.
Okay. Here we go. Number 4. All right, on this one, we're going to do it together in a second if you haven't gotten it finished. I'm just looking to see what some of our answers are. So, just looking for an answer. All right, number 4. All right, seat number 12. Sorry, public voice, a little louder. 12 and 1/10. Okay, agree, disagree. What do you guys think? Okay. All right, so a few agreements. All right. Again, guys, if your hand's not up or down, your finger's not up or down, remember, I want to see it, but I'm assuming that if it's not up, it's a disagreement. All right. How about seat 2? Same thing? All right. Anyone brave enough to share other answers out there?
7.5.
7 and 1/2. Okay.
I got 1 and 1/10.
1 and 1/10. All right. How many of you guys agree with 7 and 1/2? Okay. 1 and 1/10. Okay. All right. I'm sure there's some others out there. Let's check this out. Let's see. Now listen again. Remember. Okay. I'm going to follow these steps that we already have. All right. You're going to see that they're going to work. But what I want you to do, even if you have an answer already, walk through your work with me, because if you find if you find an error, then make sure you make the correction. All right. So here we go. Number 4 was 9 and 4/5. Okay, minus 2 and 3/10. Okay, here we go. Step 1. Okay, looking at my notes. That's right. We're converting it to improper fractions. So we have 45 plus 4, 49/5. Remember, denominator stays the same. And this one, of course, we can bring our subtraction sign down. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 3 is 23, 23/10. Okay? Step 2, right, is just point here. We're just stacking them, keeping them, we're just a little bit of organizing going on, right? 49/5 minus 23/10. All right, now, remember, step 3 is find a common denominator. So this one, we've talked about this, right? The nice part is this is pretty easy. This is one of the ones we like. When the smaller one goes into the larger one, we use the larger one as a common denominator. So we have, this one is nice, right? 10 times 1 is 10, 23 times 1 is 23. They stay the same. 5 times 2 is 10, 49 times 2, well, that is 98. You say, well, Mr. Williams, how do you know it's 98? Well, first of all, you can calculate it, right? Or you could say that's 50 times 2 is 100, but 49 times 49 is 2 less, right? Because we take 1 away each time, so each set of 49s. Anyway, here we go. Now I go ahead and subtract. So I have my denominator of tenths. I go ahead and subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. Okay? Now, once I get here, take a look. Can I reduce? The answer is yes. Why? Because it ends in a 5 and a 0, meaning I can reduce both by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 75 divided by 5. Do we know that?
15.
Yeah, it's 15. Again, if you could, do the long division on the side if you'd like. Okay. 15 halves. Now, 15 halves would have been a correct answer. No word problem involved. However, you can change it. 2 goes into 15. And some of us can do this mentally, right? 2 goes into 15 7 times, because 7 times 2 is 14. And the difference between 15 and 14 is only 1. Either one of those work. Okay? Questions about that? Okay, listen, at this point you need to kind of assess yourself, assess your own work, because I would say only about half the class had the correct answer. Okay, so the other half, guys, hopefully you found it. Listen, if you found your mistake, then of course just make sure you don't do it again, right? That's how you get better at things. If you have no idea what you did wrong, okay, or what I did on certain steps, that's when you need to ask, because that you need to be able to fix that problem. So are there any questions? Yes, sir. Okay, so if no questions?
You have to divide it. Can the answer be 75?
Great question. The answer could be 7.5. It could be 15 halves, but not 75 tenths. Okay? Because while this part is optional, this part isn't. Always make sure you simplify your fractions. Okay? You guys will need to do that all the way through high school when you're talking about your answers. Okay? Good question. All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's take a look at another one. All right. Let's take a look. Go back to page 302, number 3. Okay, now here's the thing about number 3. We're going to use exactly the same steps. All we're doing differently, though, is it's just starts off as a different kind of problem. And so all we're doing is we have one little special reminder, I guess, almost like a step star on this one, and that's what I guess I can do. Remember, the first one is the first step is to change these to improper fractions. So just a reminder, 11 as an improper fraction, 11 over 1, right? You just put a whole number over 1 and it works. So it's 11 over 1 minus, and then let's go ahead and change this to an improper fraction, 48 plus 3. 48 plus 3 is 51, so 51/8. Now I'm going to go ahead and stack them. So 11 over 1 minus 51 over 8. And again, this one's a little bit better, right? Because we can use 8 as our common denominator, because 1 goes into 8. Okay, and then the 51 stays here. This one doesn't, though. 1 times 8 is 8. 11 times 8 is 88. And this problem is subtraction. So we're talking about eighths. And now, subtract. 8 minus 1 is 7. 8 minus 5 is 3. So, 8 can be divided by 2. That can't go into 37. 8 can be divided by 4. Well, 4 times 9 is 36. So that's off. It can be divided by 8. 8 can't go into 37 either. Okay. 8 times 5 is 40. And 8 times 4 is 32. So, no reducing. That's it. Always check, though, to see if you can reduce. Again, those of you that change into mixed numbers, 8 goes into 37 without going over. How many times?
4.
Yeah, 4 times. I just said that earlier, right? And that would be 32. The difference between 37 and 32 is 5. So 4 and 5/8 would be the mixed number version. So, I mean, that was just a little extra practice. The one major thing is when you have a whole number, when you convert it to an improper fraction, that's how you're doing it. Okay? All right. Questions on that part? Okay, go ahead and try this one out. It's back on to your homework. Page 303, number 9. Number 9.
So, okay. I don't know. I do my math like a different way.
Okay, see me after class when we take a look at it, okay? But I'd like you, I could check it to see, but I'd like you to try to stick with this for right now, okay? Try this out, and then we can look at yours after class. Okay, checking in. How many of you still need more time? Okay. All right, give you guys about 30 more seconds. And again, those of you that are done, move on to your homework. Start getting some done. It'd be nice for you to leave this class with pretty much your homework done. We're almost there. Okay. All right, 30 seconds. When you share with your neighbor, same kind of thing as last time. Okay, make sure you share and troubleshoot it. Guys, the last time though, not everyone shared with their neighbor. All right, it's very important you share because you need to take a look, try it yourself, and then see if errors were made, then you could get double the help, right? You can get help from your neighbor. Then, of course, if you still not understanding, you can get help from me by us doing it together. Okay, or checking it over. So 30 seconds. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor and share. Go.
I got 4 and 1/3. There's another 3. 12 and 1/3. I think you're right. Because 3 times. So we got the right answer.
Okay, checking in with you guys on answers. Answers only. I'll do the problem here. I'll walk you through it, but I just want to see what you guys have for answers. All right, seat 30. Okay, let's pay attention because I'm waiting for an answer and you have no idea that I'm waiting for an answer. All right, I said seat 30. And 13? Okay, so 13 thirds. Agree, disagree? What do you guys think? Some disagreements, a lot of agreements. Okay. Just any other answers out there?
4 and 1/3.
Okay, 4 and 1/3. Look at this. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 is
13.
So it's same answer, it's just the mixed number. Okay. Anyone else? All right, well. Okay, here we go. Let's check it out. So I'm actually running out of room, right? So I'm going to go ahead and flip the paper over. We're looking at page 303, number 9. All right, so number 9 is 8 minus 3 and 2/3. All right, I'm going to go ahead, put them as improper fraction. So I have 8 over 1 minus, let's see, that's 9 plus 2 is 11 thirds. I'm going to go ahead and stack them up. 8 over 1 minus 11 thirds. Find a common denominator. And 1 goes into 3, so I'm using 3. So this stays as 11 thirds. 1 times 3 is 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Bless you. All right. And now I subtract. So I have thirds. 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. 13 thirds. 3 is a prime number, meaning only 3 goes into 3. Well, and 1, right? But that doesn't help us. 3 can't go into 13. There's your answer. And we just talked about the mixed number, right? 4 goes into 13, or I'm sorry, 3 goes into 13 4 times with 1 left over. Okay, questions? Majority of you guys got that one. That's good news. A lot of us are getting better. Okay. All right, so I do have one more type of problem I want to talk to you guys about, and that is, let's take a look at problem number 4. Problem number 4 on page 302. Okay. All right, so it is a word problem. Okay. Now, first of all, I want to introduce something new to you guys today. As the year goes on, when we read word problems, we're going to do something called closed reading. And what that means is I'm going to read out loud. You guys, of course, follow along. Whenever I stop, you say the next word, and then we'll keep reading. Okay? I might do it a couple of times throughout the whole paragraph, maybe more. Okay? I will never make you say the first word of each sentence because the period is an automatic pause, so I won't make you say the first word. So just know that. Okay. All right, let's try it out. Okay, see if you guys understand what I'm talking about. Here we go. Number 4. A hybrid car's gas. Not bad. All right, you guys see how that works? All right, let's try it again. A hybrid car's gas tank can hold 11 9/10 gallons of gasoline. It contains 8 3/4 of gasoline. How much more gasoline is to fill the tank? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you 2 different problem-solving strategies. I'm not talking about math strategies. I'm talking about just going at a word problem, for example. I can use 2 during this time. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagram. Now, a diagram is a little picture that you can label. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, a car gas tank doesn't look like that, but this is a container that can hold liquid like a tank of gasoline, right? So let's say that I'm just kind of drawing a quick figure. And it says a car's gas tank can hold 11 9/10 gallons. So this whole thing is 11 9/10. And then it says it contains, meaning it has 8 3/4 gallons. So 8 3/4, let's just say I'll put a little wave in here, like there's the liquid there. It has 8 3/4 gallons. Then it says how much more gasoline is needed to fill the tank. So we got to find out, of course, what that is. Now, if you still have no idea, that's a problem-solving strategy that's pretty nice on this. Now, this is one of the best problem-solving strategies that I can teach you guys when we're dealing with fractions. Okay, it is very often where 7th graders see fractions in a word problem, they freak out and then they just lose it, and then they just like put up a wall. Okay, I'm going to try to help you break down that wall right now for those of you that have that. Okay, here's how you do it. Solve a simpler problem. And when it comes to a fraction problem, here's what you do. All you have to do, and it'll work most of the time, drop off the fractions. So let's say this gas tank holds 11 gallons. There's 8 gallons in there right now. How much more would be needed to fill it up? It holds 11 gallons, 3 gallons. Now the question, that doesn't give us the answer to our problem, right? But what it does tell us is ask yourself, how did you solve it? What did you do? How did you get 3? You subtract. So guess what? We put the fractions back on, and that tells us exactly what we need to do. 11 9/10 subtract 8 3/4. Now at this point, we're just going to go ahead and solve the problem exactly like we've been doing. So here we go. I'm going to convert it. 110 plus 9 is 119 over 10. Minus, and then this is 32 plus 3 is 35/4. Okay, going to stack them up. 119 over 10 minus 35/4. Now, of course, the downside of the strategy or the method I'm showing you how to do this kind of problem is sometimes the numbers get a little bit bigger. So be careful on your multiplication. Okay. So here we go. First off, 4 times 10 is 40. I can use 40, but these numbers are going to get big. I want to try not to make them even bigger than they need to be. Okay? Now, 4 doesn't go into 10, so that method doesn't work. But here's what does work. I can list out my multiples. 4 times 1 is 4. As a matter of fact, I haven't shown you guys this, but sometimes the best way to do this is take the larger number and just list their multiples out, and then double check it with the smaller one. So you don't have to list both of them. It saves you a little bit of time. 10 times 1 is 10. Doesn't work. 10 times 2 is 20. 4 going to 20? Yes. Absolutely. Saves us a little bit of extra time on reducing at the end. Okay, so here we go. 10 times 2 is 20, so 119 times 2. And again, what I said, be careful with this. So 2 times 9 is 18, carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 238 20ths. And this, 4 times 5 is 20, so 35 times 5. Do a little scratch paper work on this one as well. 5 times 5 is 25. 15 plus 2 is 17, so 175. And now we subtract. Denominator stays the same like always. We're dealing with 20ths here. And I do another piece of scratch paper work. 238 minus 175. 8 minus 5 is 3. I need to do a little bit of borrowing here. 13 minus 7 is 6. So we have 63 20ths. Now here, I'm going to show you guys another strategy. Because this is a word problem, we're going to have to convert it to a mixed number anyway. Sometimes it's easier to convert it to a mixed number and then reduce the fraction, because the fraction will get smaller. Okay? So here's what I'm talking about. You can try to reduce that. Those are a couple of bigger numbers. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to convert it to a mixed number. We have to do that anyway because it's a word problem. So 20 goes into 63. Well, what's 20 into 60? 3 times, right? So 20 times 3 is 60. How many would be left over? What's the difference between 60 and 63? 3. Our denominator is 20. 3 and 3 20ths. Can we reduce 3 20ths? Nope. So we're good. So listen, don't forget this, and that is it's a word problem besides the mixed number. Okay? What does it say? How much more gasoline is needed to fill the tank? Now, unfortunately, the units aren't in that question, but if you take a look at the numbers in that problem, what are the units after both of those numbers? The word what? Gallons. Thank you. So gallons. 3 and 3 20ths gallons. If you want to put gallons of gasoline, that's even better. Okay, questions on that one? Okay, I'm going to have you guys do your word problem off of your homework. So here we go. Problem number 11. Problem number 11. Try out number 11 right now. Okay, go. Okay, how many of you need more time on that problem? Okay, keep working on it. Okay, check it in. How many of you still need more time? Okay, 30 seconds. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor and share. Go. Make sure they have units on their answers, guys.
I got 1 and 16. That's right, feet. I wrote the width is that.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to go over this. Make sure you check your work. The length of Casey's garden is 4 5/8 feet. I'm just going to draw a quick diagram. 4 and 5, the length, which is probably the longer side, is 4 5/8 feet. Find the width of Casey's garden if it is 2 7/8 feet shorter. So it's 2 7/8. This is 2 7/8 feet shorter than that. So if this is 4 foot and this side is 2 foot less, then I would just say 4 minus 2, right? So all I'm doing is I'm subtracting these two to get this answer. So 4 5/8 minus 2 7/8. Now, this is nice. Why? I'm already seeing they have common denominators. It's going to be nice and easy for us. So we have 32 plus 5 is 37/8. Minus, and this is 16 plus 7 is 23/8. I don't even have to stack them. Why? Because they already have common denominators. The whole reason why we stack is to find common denominator. So here we go. 37 minus 23. I can subtract the ones spot first. 7 minus 3 is 4, and then the tens. 3 minus 2 is 1. Now remember, it's a word problem. So bottom and the top. So it goes 1 time, and 8 times 1 is 8, and the different, guys, if you need to, right? 1 time, that's 8. This is kind of what I was doing in my head there. All right, and that, of course, 14 minus 8 is 6, and that gives us 1 and 6/8. But look at that. That's what I'm talking about. I can reduce 6/8 to 3/4. Divide both by 2. So our answer is 1 and 3/4. Except I need my units, and let me reread it. Find the width of Casey's garden if, okay, 2 7/8 feet. They're all in feet, so it's 1 3/4 feet. All right, questions?
Could you simplify it when you have 14 over 8?
Yeah. So you would have simplified and gotten, if you divide both of them by 2, right? 7/4. And then 4 goes into 7 1 time with 3 left over. Could have done it that way too. Any other questions, guys? Not on the word problem. Okay, so the good question, guys. Remember, I'm okay with improper fractions except for word problems. Make sure you change those to mixed numbers. Okay, any other questions? All right, so you guys have a little bit of time left. You guys can go ahead and try to get your homework done. Good job.